Welcome to Engineer Muscle Podcast number 15, guys. Today, Madison and I will be talking about something that is not often talked about in the fitness industry, and that is the difference between exercising and training. And we'll be going through some of the common questions we get and how we have learned from literature and how we applied it in our own coaching, and what do the OGs of the industry say about this topic. So, Madison, how's your day going today?
It's going well. Another gorgeous Saturday. It's actually really nice. It's actually finally having a nice day out. It's actually pretty warm.
I like it.
I'm looking forward to getting out and hitting up the gym today.
Dude, I'm excited.
Second week of contest prep, and food's the only thing I can think about.
Yeah. No, so are you hungry? How are things with the contest?
Yeah, I'm hungry every day. My carbs are a lot higher than they were actually. And my proteins actually a lot lower. That's what my coach Alberto Nunez has me doing right now. So I'm still a little adjusting to that because that's kind of a big change for me. But I'm already dropped. I think I dropped around 7 pounds in the first week or so. Half of that was me still eating how I was eating, and then half of that was eating with the new macros. And then
how do they normally start with the week one? Do they do 3 days of finding your basic metabolic rate, just eat whatever you're currently eating, or?
No, he just had me. He gave me, here's the macros, let's get going, and a log to track it. And I still had some questions in the beginning, so I didn't go right on it. So I had some questions about the training and the nutrition, the way it was laid out. So I just asked those, and while I was waiting for the responses, I was just still doing what I was doing, which my calories were actually relatively similar. Some of these days are actually or a bit lower, but my carbs was half, and my protein was double compared to what it is now. But so it's been adjusting. This past week, I ate a whole lot of chicken and rice, and it felt pretty good. I haven't actually been having cravings, which is pretty good, surprising for me. When I start eating carbs, I'll typically start getting craving for other crap, but I haven't been craving. I've just been fucking hungry, so I've been craving food, but not cookies and ice cream and junk and shit. So that's good. And I'm just getting used to it still because my energy's just been a little less stable just because I'm not used to riding that carb wave. But we'll see how my body handles in the weeks to come.
I like it. No, yeah, guys, just as a side note, I'm a little tired today. So I flew in red eye from LA to Detroit, literally running on 3 hours of sleep, and it was great. And what's crazy? Dude, I was in the plane. They gave me a window seat, and guys, that's why we work so hard to have you guys get lean and mean, so you're not fat. It hurts sitting next to two, obese people, and it is just I literally waited to go to the bathroom because I was I don't want to make them get up, and
as someone who's as someone who's obese but wide, it's always a pain. My shoulders are always popping over to the next seat over. Luckily, a couple of times, one or two of the times I was traveling, we had a whole bunch of planes in between on that one trip. But luckily, I had a couple of times where I got the back seat alone, and so that was an improvement. But yeah, those are tiny little things. Those, I don't know who those are.
No, but there's a difference, right? So there's a difference between having a lot of belly fat and just being wide with your muscles. The guys with muscles that they don't have a hard time getting up. Hey, can I go to the bathroom? They just get up. Versus they're dude, it was just
can't fit.
It was just it was just made me realize that we need to work harder. We need to take care of this obesity problem. It's not good.
It is. It's true. There's just so much misinformation out there. And people think it's a lot harder than it is. And a lot of the industry is designed to make people feel that way, that it's impossible, and then just keep them stuck on that rabbit hole of diet, get your fat diet, because the diet industry just breeds right off of the food industry. The food industry just is trying to load you up with food, sell you as much food as possible, get you big and fat. And the diet industry wants you to feel bad about it and then try to make money on the other end.
Bro,
And
you're set up for failure. Let's be honest. Like, if
yeah,
you,
and that's what, like, why me and you, like this, we see with a lot of people that come to us, especially lifestyle people and people who are just overweight, versus our competitors. We'll probably talk a little bit on our topic today. But when, when those guys come in and just kind of getting that, like, it makes such a difference having somebody clear out the bullshit. Fuck the cleanses, fuck the diet bars, fuck these shakes, fuck those ready-made shit. That shit's holding you back and only making it go slower. It's simple, but it doesn't mean it's easy, right? So it's not always easy, but it is simple and straightforward. And a good coach will help move that crap out of the way so you can realize that.
no, bro, and you know what's funny? Last night I had in the plane while thinking about obesity, I had this revelation. I was like, I'm 24. When on my 21st birthday, I wanted to get six-pack abs. So before that, I've never had six-pack abs. So I hired a coach back then, and dude, like for my 21st birthday, I had my six-pack abs, and I was thinking, I was like, so 3 years ago, my problems were different. Now I don't have those problems anymore because I took care of them 3 years ago, right? Problem with a lot of people is that they had the same problems at 21, 24, 27, 35, 40.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you don't take care of these problems, if you don't invest, I was a broke college kid. Hiring a coach, like that was a big money back then, right? Like,
Yeah.
but he taught like it's like body fat percentage and being overweight is no longer my problem. Like
Yeah.
I took care of that 3 years ago. And when you're doing it, when you take care of it once, what happens is you keep building and building and building and building. You only keep getting better if you stay the consistent route. But if you don't take care of it, then the problem that you had at 21, you'll have at 24, you'll have at 27, you'll have at 30.
Mm-hmm.
Like nothing changes with time.
And it's only going to get harder, and your body and your metabolism is only going to get slower, and you're only going to get fatter, and you're only going to get older, right? And a younger body is going to only react better. Your hormones are going to be better. Everything's going to be better. And plus, if you ever have any aspirations of going anywhere, and like even if you just want to like compete for fun, or if you just want to, even if you have aspirations of a certain level of physique, even if you don't want to compete, to do that, the sooner you start on the right foot, the better you're going to be. That's why, like, a lot of the best athletes, like in whatever sport we're talking about, but also especially in physique sports, those guys were athletes when they were teenagers, when they were kids. They already were building that foundation, not only of their body but also their lifestyle stuff. And then those guys went later on, when they start going into this sport, they going to bodybuilding, going to powerlifting, they do so much better than someone else that starts later, like myself and like you. Like I wasn't athletic in high school. I was overweight. I was a fucking nerdy geek, and I wasn't ridiculously fat, but I was overweight. I wasn't in shape. I was weak. I was really, really weak. And then when I started all the way in college, and it's taken me all these years to get to where I am now. Whereas I'd probably be at least 5 years ahead. If I had been athletic.
I totally agree. And I mean, Phil Heath, the former Mr. Olympia, he was a basketball player in college.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if you see his picture, right? If you see his pictures, like he's jacked even back then. Like he had good muscle on his frame for a basketball player because he was training. And that's the thing, guys. Like, stop putting dude. I hope the person who sent me this is listening to this. The other day I got a DM, and I've been getting a DM from this person for a while now. And every time, it's always about like whenever the cravings for six-pack abs or getting leaner come in, he messages me. And then I ask him a few questions, and then he just always says he cannot commit right now. And every time he has a pretty solid excuse. And then this time was I will be traveling to Asia for 2 weeks in April, and Ramadan is coming up. And I'm like, great. And I literally usually for those listening, a lot of you are personal trainers, or a lot of you are busy, professionals who understand sales. So in sales, there's a thing called handling objections. So the sales starts when the objections come in. But a lot of the time, guys, I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty decent at sales, but a lot of the time I don't even want to do objection handling. Because I'm like, this person is just, they gotta just like get to that point themselves to where I can just grab their hand and take them.
Yeah.
So I literally told him, it was a one-line statement, and well, I'll share his response too. I said, okay, you're traveling to one country and you're, fasting for 30 days for Ramadan. Bro, in the next 9 weeks, I'm traveling to 15 states. Plus, I will be doing all 30 days of Ramadan as well. And I'm on contest prep, and I'm running a business, and I have
Ramadan.
Exactly.
Big Ramy and you, right? There's actually the whole the bodybuilding is actually huge in the Middle East now. The last I don't know, actually probably longer than in the last 10, 20 years. And it's just been exponentially growing in the Middle East. And all those guys are gonna be fasting for Ramadan. There are some crazy pros in it.
And that person, he messages me back and he says, "Wallah, I love you, bro." It just means, by God, I love you. And because I was the first person to ever call him out. Because the thing is, guys, stop making excuses. And I know it sounds so cliche, but the thing is, I brought a weighing scale with me on this trip because I'm going to 4 different cities in the next 9 days: Boston, Columbus, Nashville, and Detroit. And I live in LA, and I know my prep can't wait. I'm on week 2 right now, and I have total of 17 weeks. I can't just guys, it's so easy. It's not hard. I know it feels really hard, and it is hard if your habits are not in place. So here's the thing, right? For me, I this water bottle goes with me everywhere. And if this is not filled, I start to get worried. So right now I'm getting a little worried. But the point is, exactly, when you travel, keep the same things. Keep your meal timings the same. I know exactly the meals I eat at what time, and I'm going to keep them the same. It's a smaller meal for breakfast, a big
rhythm.
Yeah, meal timing, keep it consistent. And then the weight scale. Weigh yourself every morning, every other morning. See how your body, and don't have a healthy relationship with the weight, with the scale. And I know the topic of this podcast is exercising versus training, and we're getting to that, but this is really important. So with the scale, a lot of you listening right now, some of you are coaches, some of you are trainers. You guys have done a pretty poor job in making the scale look like it's the animal, and it's the enemy. The scale is not the enemy, guys. It's not. The scale, I don't know, Madison, I would love to hear your views, but for me, bro, the scale tells me a lot about how I'm reacting to certain foods. Sometimes, if I'm dieting for a minute and then I go and eat tacos one night, and I really keep an eye on how the weight changes, and a lot of the time I drop or go up depending on, and that gives me feedback on how my body reacted to the food the night before. And it's just I know it's not as much correlated with that, but those little things, that data coming in, it tells me that body fat is dropping, cardio is working. Oh, this amount of cardio is not enough of a stimulus, let's up it a little. And right now, the most popular fucking posts on Facebook and Instagram are where trainers talk shit about the weighing scale. And I'm just how did we go from Arnold Schwarzenegger getting ready for Terminator, where the director was bro, if you're not at this body weight, you're not getting this role. And Arnold dropped 35 pounds in 3 months. And how did we go from that level of hey, the weight matters, to now where it's everyone is soft? Not soft, but it's
well, yeah, I mean, I can guess how it's gone there. And it's also kind of just how soft people are today in general. Any little thing, people are reactionary, and everything's over the top. But I think part of the reason that happened is people are using the scale as the be-all, end-all, and it's no longer a piece of data in the system, and which is how you should treat it. It's just more information, because people look at it oh, it's not going down, or it's not going down, it's going up, or I got fatter, and it's only one. They only see it in one dimension. The goal is the scale. But if what you do is use the scale as a tool and a data collection means, and you have it so that it's one tool of many, so well, this is what my diet is right now, and this is how my weight's reacting, and this is what I look like in the mirror, and my energy is doing this, and my appetite is doing this, and you have all those different variables. From all those variables, then you can get an accurate picture of what's actually going on. When I work with my clients, I check in on them regularly throughout the week and week to week. I don't just want to know what their weight is. I want to know what their weight is. I want to know what if they're feeling tight. I want to know if their muscles are feeling full, if they're feeling bloated. I want to know if they're hungrier, if they're feeling full, if they're feeling energized, or they're feeling lethargic. I want to know all these different variables, because that's going to tell me how they're reacting to their food. Right? Maybe they're losing weight, but like their energy's crashing and they're like, they feel really full, or like there's a bunch of different things. Whereas if they're feeling hungry and they're just feeling energized, I just know all that's getting burnt up and the metabolism is just revved, and they're probably losing fat. If their strength's still going up or staying good, I know their muscles staying fine. But that strength starts coming down and they're just feeling weak, and they're starting to feel bloated and they're spilling over, or whatever the combination is, right? That tells me something different. Where if I just went by the scale, it's like, you're gaining weight, we have to cut your food back more. Oh, we have to cut your food back more, and it's not really accurate.
But at the same time, it's fascinating, right? So if you use scale the right way, you're like, so if when people travel, and I'll give you my example, right? We've done a podcast on traveling people, on traveling professionals, people who travel a lot, and why they end up gaining fat. And the biggest,
if you haven't watched it, go back and check it out.
You better, yeah. Like for a lot of you who are management consultants or work in big industries where you are constantly on the road and constantly traveling between coast to coast.
We ran into 5 and covered both of those in there.
Yeah, and like, bro, the thing is, like with traveling life, the reason people get fat is because they throw their habits they already built out of the window. Don't do that. If you eat 3 meals a day at your normal lifestyle, eat 3 meals a day when you're traveling. And if you work out in the morning at normal lifestyle, work out in the morning. Like, you do not, no matter how busy you tell me you are with your traveling life, you're not that busy. Keep everything the same. Like, the reason I brought the scale with me, guys, is not for the number per se. It is, but at the same time, it's for the habit. It's mental. I want my brain to wake up every morning, step on the scale, and realize that game is still on. Because I've been doing it for a minute. This is my second prep. And for the last I've been counting macros and calories for 5 years now. And what's beautiful is that my brain still goes on this like on season, off season mode. And whenever I'm traveling, my brain defaults to off season mode. It thinks that, hey, we're not.
We can get away with it. What's another burger?
Yeah, what's another? Oh, we're at a Starbucks and the company's paying for it. Yeah, let's go ahead and get 2 cheese bagels. Like all of that, like my brain goes off script, and every one of you have that too. So if I need this water bottle, when I see it, I'm like, water. Like my brain has this. I've had this water bottle for the last year or so, and when I'm at the airport, she has to be filled up. Like, I need to drink water more, because if I don't, the negative side is I get headaches as soon as I sit on the plane, if I'm not hydrated enough. And this was funny. Yesterday I woke up and I was just kind of like, having one of those days where I was craving for a supplement that could just poof wake me up, right? Because I've been cutting down on coffee, and then I was like, nah, let's go back to the basics. I've been not drinking enough water. So I had 3 liters. So this is like a little over a liter, but I had 3 of these. And bro, I shit you not, in 2 hours, I was back. Like, I didn't need no supplement. I didn't basics work, guys. And I took a cold shower, which helped even more. I turned in my energy just kept going up after that. So for a lot of you, when you're traveling, just keep routines the same. And if your coworkers are going out and they invite you for dinner, just allocate calories for that. Just, take out your lunch or take out something and be like, all right, I'm saving this many calories for that. Start thinking in terms of that. And when you do that, you will no longer miss out on the social side of life, but you'll also stick to your goals. Because let's be honest, it's not your fucking friends who are holding you back from your fitness goals. They're not. They really aren't your friends holding you back. A lot of the times you don't have your own habits in place. So when you go hang out with them, you rely on their habits. You rely on, if they're getting some really lasagna or some really high carb, high fat meal, you're relying on them to give you validation so you get the same shit. And all right, Madison, let's stop this and talk about exercising and training. We love this topic so much. It hits home.
Don't eat burgers.
Yeah, bro. So I'll get us like I'll give you a little starting point for exercising versus training. So the first time I came across this was about 6-7 months ago when I started reading Mark Ripeto's Starting Strength. Really OG type book. Like when you as you advance, you almost kind of laugh at it. But I remember Kabuki Strength, Chris Duffin. He's like, he literally messaged me. He's like, we don't teach any of that. And even
Yep.
like yeah, I mean
Yeah, their system is very different.
yeah, even like guys from 3D MJ, they're like, yeah, it's a great starting point. And I was like, that's a really good way of saying that's not gonna make you an expert. But Starting Strength was fascinating. So in that book, there were a few like takeaways that were really helpful, and one of them was Ripeto shreds, tears people into pieces who are just all about exercising. He wants people to train. And the difference, according to him, was that when you train, you go to the gym with a very specific purpose. You go into the gym with number-driven approach. And that was one of the criticism Mark Rippetoe gets a lot, is that his system treats human body like a machine. And human body is not a machine. But there was some validity to that, where he's like, when you train, you don't turn into a bro when you go to the gym. You go and you're like, today I'm doing like this many sets and this many reps on bench, and I'm trying to hit these numbers. This is what I've been working up to. You're always working up to something. That's like the training part of it. Exercising, Madison, take it away. Like, what is exercising in your opinion?
So for me, training versus exercising is it's pretty much what you're outlining. The difference of training versus exercising. Training is done with purpose and intention. So exercising is really just going and doing anything. If you're just going for a run, or you're just like, I want to move, right? That's just exercising. You're just going and getting activity. That's exercise. Training is when you're exercising with a purpose. So whether you're trying to I want to put 50 pounds on my bench, or I want to build my biceps, I want to get shredded abs, whatever your goal is, you have a goal first off, and then what you're doing are all the stepping stones to that goal. So if you know, I want to put 50 pounds on my bench, well, you're like, well, I'm going to go into the gym today. I have a piece of my program. I'm going to be doing this work on the bench. I'm going to be doing a five triples at 80%, whatever it be. Even if it's not a smart program, the fact that you're in there with intention is what separates training from exercise. Because when you have intention, then also what you're doing now is going to affect what you're doing later, and they build off of each other. Whereas exercise is random. It's like, I just want to move. As long as I'm moving, the goal is completed, right? And training, it's always moving towards that end. So when you're training, you can then validate what you're doing as worthwhile or not worthwhile. So if my goal is to go build my bench, and I can go into the gym and I just start doing spin classes, that's not training, because that's not working towards my goal. So it's just a waste of effort.
Podcast in a spin class.
What?
We should do a podcast in a spin class.
Don't do it. That's the podcast. Podcast over.
There's something so hot about girls who lift weights, man. I don't know what it is. And I think let me write this topic down. Like, why are guys afraid of girls who lift weights?
Not, little men are. Big men are not.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So why are like average dudes?
Men who are strong and are self-confident love and enjoy strong women. Mentally strong, physically strong. And just because a girl's strong doesn't mean she's going to look like a female bodybuilder. Those girls are on man hormones. Okay, as long as a natural female who's working out will be more shapely, she will have a nice butt, she will have nicer arms, nicer back, tighter stomach. It's only positive.
So continue with training. So intention and purpose versus spin classes where it's not your intention. So
again, like we'll go back to the example of bench, right? So if you're training, you're going to be like, all right, how am I going to structure? If I want to hit I'll say I bench 300 right now, and I want to hit a 325 bench in 3 months. So you can then plan your 3 months to build to that. So well, I'm going to be doing You know, starting off with in the I'm doing like around 250 in these first couple of weeks, and it starts getting heavier and heavier. I'm going to start pushing up to that number, and I'm start beating my max. And my goal is strength, so I'm going to train my bench. I'm kind of bench, so I should bench. And I'm going to train my bench for strength because that's my goal. I don't really care about my boobs right now, my pecs. I'm not training for size. I'm training for strength. So I'm going to train in the strength range. I'm going to do a lot of triples, do some doubles, maybe some fives, maybe some sixes, maybe even some eights and stuff. But I'm not really going to go too high rep. I'm going to really focus on my technique. I'm going to do a lot of sets benching so I can really practice and practice and practice. And I'm also going to set up my accessory work to support my bench. I know that my triceps are weak in my bench, so I need to do extra tricep work because that's where I stick in my bench press or something. So as soon as you're training, things become thoughtful, and that's the major difference. Now, how far you take that thought kind of depends on your level and your level of expertise, your level of experience. A good coach, when you're with a good coach, you will always be training because a coach is going to be having you working towards whatever goals you outline. So when someone comes to me or comes to Mo and we give them a program, that's a training program. It's not an exercise program, right? They're going to be training towards, I want a bigger bench, or I'm putting on 5-10 pounds of muscle. I'm going to be leaning out, getting my abs for summer. Whatever that goal is, the plan is going to build off each other. And a good plan and a good program will periodize that and build each phase of time so that the current phase builds off the last phase. So, for instance, if you're going to be trying to get stronger, maybe at first you might just need to get a little bit bigger. So you're going to start with a little more general work and do a little more hypertrophy type range. So when it switches over to strength, you have a little more muscle, so you're able to handle those heavier weights now, and a lot lower reps and a lot heavier weights, but you're kind of prepped for it. And then when you go back to hypertrophy, maybe after the strength phase, now you're stronger. So now you can do more reps with heavier weight. So you're going to be able to get bigger on that other phase, depending on what the goal is. And that's just an example of phase potentiation, which means that each phase.
Dropping big words on me right now. Phase potentiation, guys, write that one down. And there's going to be a vocab quiz after this podcast. Go ahead.
Again, this might be a little outside the scope of what we're covering, but I'm just trying to lay it down. And
no, please do. This is good.
Really start thinking about, because this is something that most people won't think about with their training. They're not thinking about, well, what they're going to be doing in 3 months or 2 months or 1 month, and how what they're doing now is going to affect that, or what you're doing this week is going to affect next week, and how what you've done the last 3 weeks or whatever is affecting you now. Because if the way you organize things will allow your training and your adaptation to flow in a certain manner that it can allow for more adaptation and better results, keeping it simple.
No, I agree. And I think yeah, and that's one thing I tell all my clients. I'm like, guys, just literally the only thing you should be worrying about is the weight. The reps and the sets, I've already done the math on. They're very linearly periodized, and sometimes I do use DUP. But it's like a good training program. And you know what's fascinating, bro? So my clients who are in my group coaching program, who are in training with the Titans, they graduated last week, and almost all of them made a lot of size gains. And this was kind of I shouldn't, a lot of the time people come to me because I'm the fat last guy. So people come to me to lose fat. But this program was strictly to gain size. It was to create those physiques that the 1970s guys had, those, the Titanic fucking physiques, the old school. These were hard workouts. For a lot of these people who are used to the free workouts on bodybuilding.com, these were next level, because I took a lot of these workouts from Arnold. I took I really sat down for 2 days and I built it out of all the shit they used to do with the very Arnold would do bench press and then he would do pull-ups as a superset. That level of boom, boom, boom. And a lot of the clients were feeling overworked. So, but we did that. We went through that 3-week cycle, and then I would change it, and it was a 12-week total. And they all came out pretty strong. They all came out with you could see physically more muscle on their frame. But what's funny was that I realized that a lot of them now graduating that program, they're at a phase where I can give them a little less work, but they can milk more out of that work.
Yes.
And that's the biggest struggle that you have as an online coach, which personal trainers don't have. Because as a personal trainer, if you're really good, you can actually use all these techniques. Like the other day, I was at the local apartment gym, and our apartment gym is pretty big, and there was one trainer who was like, dude, it's rare when I come across a trainer at like an apartment gym who knows what he's doing. And it takes me like if you're an expert at what you do, if you're good at what you do, you can recognize expertise fast. And this dude was really good, and like he was doing all the same shit that guys at Gold's Gym do, like certain movements. And it wasn't that he was making this guy do like fucking burpees. He was like really making him focus on the muscle groups, and like just like, hey, right there, right there, right there. Like it was just so cool to see like expert at work. But what's cool is that for my clients right now, like a lot of them are intermediates now. They've graduated that beginner phase. But even in the intermediate stage, so at this point, when like I know there are definitions of this, but in my eyes, when I see an intermediate, I know that their diet is pretty well in check. Like they're getting decent amount of protein, they're having enough fats, they're not fucking around. But at the same time, an intermediate doesn't realize how much room he still has to grow. A lot of the time they get comfortable and they go back to going through the motions. So like to keep that fire like going as an online coach, I constantly have to do trainings for them. I constantly have to do like mindset work with them. I constantly have to do like, like I sometimes do I do this often where like on a leg day or something, I would throw in an intensity set. I would throw in some like pause reps. Like, hey, I know some of you are not like front squats have been my new thing. Like front squats is a movement that a lot of people just ignore. Like no one, like it's just one of those movements that you see like pros doing, you see like guys doing on YouTube, but in like conventional training programs, front squats aren't that popular. And I'm just like, okay, I'm getting these guys get really good at back squatting. Let's throw in some front squats. And even for me, I noticed I haven't done front squats in like a year. And like, dude, when I started doing them, I realized like front squats is cool. Like, and for a lot of guys who have smaller shoulders right now, who aren't as built yet, it requires some technique. And there's something about, I hate saying this, but like there's something about like snatches and all those like CrossFit movements that make you a better.
That's CrossFit, weightlifting. Okay, CrossFit stole that shit and makes you do way too many reps. A real clean and jerk and snatch is a great movement, but
dude, I didn't know that. No, that's cool. That's good to hear. That's good to hear because all you see, like Steffi Cohen on Instagram. Yeah. The hybrid performance chick, awesome girl. She's like 4'10", I think, but she can like move some real weight, and she's like so.
She's a world record holder.
What is it?
She's a world record holder.
Yeah, like she is, and she's a physical therapist. She just got her. She just graduated PT school. But her mobility is so on point. Like, and she's always doing like, snatches and jerks, and like she's like it looks like she's an Olympic athlete. But at the same time, a lot of us bay lifters, we should do a whole new. Today, I'm like coming up with ideas on podcasts. Like, why don't bodybuilders do more mobility work? Like, it's so underrated. And
well, the good guys do. I mean, if you look at Flex Wheel, look at Kai Green, they're fucking doing splits on stage. They're doing like they're really good bodybuilders will have really good mobility. And are pretty flexible because it allows them to train the muscle in a larger range of motion, which means more work, which means more growth. And part of the problem is when people think of mobility, they just start thinking foam roller, they start thinking stretching, and that's not the true way that mobility is created. Those are some ways to kind of reset things, but true mobility is done through motion. So when you're doing that front squat, you're doing that snatch, and you have to be strong in that range of motion. That's that more extreme range of motion. As long as you can do that, if you can do stiff leg deadlifts, right? You do good stiff leg deadlifts, your hamstrings will always be flexible because you'll be strong where they're long. And as long as you're doing that for each muscle group, if you strengthen it in the long position that it has, so it's strong there, you will have mobility. Because what happens is when your body is weak in a position, it starts to defend it. It's like, well, I don't want to go there, so I'm going to make it tight, make it so you can't go there, and it's going to try to protect you so you don't fuck yourself. So, but as long as you have that neural ability to, because being tight is really a neurological condition. It's your nerves are telling your muscle this, you should be tight, contract. And so, like for instance, if your quad's really tight, your hamstring isn't going to be able to fully flex. But being able to fully flex your hamstring it forces your quad to relax. So you can create in order for your quad to fully lengthen, your hamstring has to be strong, and your quad has to be strong enough to handle that lengthened position. So there's a big part of it's neurological, and the best way to create and then maintain really good mobility is doing those movements that are in those more end ranges of mobility. Those stiff leg deadlifts, those rock bottom squats, done well with good spinal stability. Doing, like when I used to do back levers, like my shoulders used to be so flexible and healthy because they were strong. They used to be able to hold my body from behind my back. But that's how I stopped.
What that is. What is that movement?
A front lever is like back lever. A full back lever, you're hanging from like a bar or rings, and you're low, but facing down is the back lever, facing up is the front lever. So a front lever would be like going this way, and the back lever would be going like that way.
Yeah.
So you're like Superman and hanging. It's a gymnastics movement. But like I stopped doing that, and my shoulders aren't as flexible as they used to be because I don't bring them to that range of motion anymore. So because your body's going to adapt to whatever you're doing.
Dude, so guys, last week, so make sure you check out last week's podcast. We had an Olympic gymnast, Andrew, and we talked about that. We talked about like how being a gymnast actually translates into weight training. We also talked about a lot of stuff about relationships. So make sure you check that one out too. That was a good podcast. But continue, please.
But yeah, so the best way to keep those range of motions is to use it, right? It's basically the use it or lose it principle.
No, and dude, and it's like even I see myself like just chickening out on like, because it's Andy Frisella did a podcast yesterday and he was talking about why people don't want to be bad at things. People just hate being bad at things. And even I realized that was happening to me in training. I remember I spent like 3 months trying to perfect my deadlift. And back then, I sucked at computer programming too. So there were a few things I sucked at, and I was constantly working to get better at them. So, and at that time I learned, at a young age, I learned a very useful skill in life, which is if your competitiveness is holding you back from learning more things, stop being competitive. Stop being fucking competitive. Get better at things, and then we'll talk about competition. Because right now, you're way behind the competition. So why are you even letting that hold you back? Just fucking learn. Become their friend. And I think like, even as you advance in like your lifting career, don't be afraid to be a beginner. Like, yeah, dude, like I really want to get better at, snatches and do more mobility work and just like have variety of big boy lifts I can go to.
Yeah.
And when you do that, like you become a better lifter, in my opinion. You have like more things in your arsenal. And like just doing, and I think like designing workout programs where like there's at least one big movement in there to keep the body like boom, boom, boom. I know that when I'm doing like, it's funny, when I do more compound movements, I gain more size. I've done that on myself. I've seen.
You got it.
What is it?
I do. Yeah, you got it. It's got to be like, I do like probably 80 to 90% compounds. And like, when I say that, I don't always just mean, like the big four. I do those. I do the bench, squat, dead, and bench and press. But I'm also still trying to do compounds other than that too. I'll do, again, 80 to 90% compounds, and then there's a little bit of isolation. but like I'll just do a variety of compounds. So like even like on leg day, in addition to squatting, I'm also going to do hack squatting and leg pressing rather than just doing leg extension, leg curls. I'm going to do as many compound movements that I have enough energy to be able to do well with intensity. And I find that's really, really, really helpful for putting on size.
No, like for me, dude, when my bench continues to get stronger, my arms look the biggest. Like,
yeah.
Like I just feel my size in my arms really after a good set of bench. I see it versus like I can do like, you know, tricep push downs all day and I don't feel the same. It's so funny. Like,
yeah. For the longest time, for years, I did no direct arm work whatsoever. And like everyone's always said, I have really good arms. In my opinion, they're not as good as I'd like them, I guess, but I guess I have good arms. But I still do really little direct arm work. And I've only just recently done that just because I feel like I want to bring them up more. But like I've always had like pretty big triceps, but it's because I'd press like tons of overhead pressing, tons of bench pressing. I just do all these presses, and then like people would ask me way back in the day, what do you do for your biceps? Like, do you do curls and stuff? I'm like, no, I just do a shit ton of pull downs and pull ups and rows, and I just pull.
So back to
yeah,
training versus exercising. We're getting towards the end of the podcast now, but why should people train and not exercise?
For the same reason of what it is, right? So training is with a purpose, and in order to accomplish something, right, you need to have a goal and have a smart goal. So if you're trying to, because you have to ask yourself, why am I going to the gym? Am I like, do you care enough about the end result that you want to do what it takes to get there, or are you just like happy with just moving and just feeling better because you move? Which if that's the case, that's fine, I guess. But like, why not? This in my opinion, and whatever. But why not get the most out of it? Why not work towards something? Why not accomplish something? Why not get better? I think there's so much more. It's so much more effective too. It's going to have a much bigger effect on your physiology and your body and your mind, and lets you grow in so many ways by being able to make that shift. Versus just kind of lollygagging and doing whatever feels good. Because also when you have a bad day, you're like, I don't feel like exercising today. But also those are the same people that you don't see make any progress. So if you have any intent on making progress and doing something, if you're overweight and you're trying to lose fat, you need to train. If you're a skinny guy and you want to get bigger and muscular, you need to train. Right? If you want to get stronger, you want to hit bench, you want to go be a powerlifter, you need to train. So if you're any of those people, you should be training and not exercising.
Exactly. And I think like exercising is the most sustainable thing you can do out of the two. Out of the two, exercising is more training is more sustainable. And the reason I say that is because when you train, motivation is always there. Like that, like imagine, right? You have two things here. One is, so imagine it's like you live in fucking Detroit or you live in New York, and it's snowing outside and it's like really cold, and you're like, but you do have a nice F-150, so you can get to the gym. You have a nice truck, but it's the matter of motivation now, right? So you're like, okay, on one hand you're exercising, on the other hand you're training. The training mentality would be, dude, today is week 3 of my training block, and today I get to do 3x3s, or I get to do this on my bench. The fucking excitement, because if you miss that, if you miss that whole workout, it pushes you back. Like it just pushes you back, and then you're like, okay, like, dude, I have seen the motivation levels skyrocket. Like motivation is not even an issue for people who genuinely train, because those are the guys that are at the gym. Like those are the guys that are in the gym in January, February, all the way to fucking October, and all the way till end. Like those are the guys they're just regulars. Those regulars are training almost every time. Exercising, on the other hand, I got a trip to Hawaii in 40 days. I better start
exercising.
Exactly. That mentality. And the thing is, the guys who train, they're always ready for that fucking trip to Hawaii. Like they're just, even if they're bulking and have some fat, they don't give a fuck because they have muscle underneath and they feel good. A lot of them have overcame those, you know, because they know how to get six-pack abs. Like they've been in the gym game long enough to know all that. Versus the exercising part, those are the people that you keep hearing that say, yeah, I lost 45 pounds at the end of last year. And I'm like, oh, what happened to that 45 pounds? Gain 25 back or 40 back, right? Like, because for exercising, it's just like the Hawaii trip is the motivation. The Bali trip is the motivation. Like the motivation for the exercising group is the highest when someone at work calls them fat. Or if I was going to be an asshole last night, you know, at the plane, I would have been like, yeah, guys, start going to the gym a little more. And it's like, that's when the motivation is the highest versus the training part. The motivation is generally always the highest because they're actually working towards a big goal. And that goal changes when they get there. Like, so you just never stop. Like, you're always getting better. You're always getting better. It's Kaizen, 1% better every day. So, guys, if I had to, like, sell you on one, train. Exercising is for people who are not going to last very long. I want you guys to build that arsenal, that physique, that head-turning body, that, you know, girls at the beach are like, holy shit, who's that guy? And the girls, same to you, because I know we got some listeners here in the female audience. And the girls who train or the guys who train, they are the ones that people ask. They're like, what are your macros, bro? And they're like, I just fucking eat, right?
Bro, what do you do for your traps, bro? What do you do for your shoulders? You're gonna start getting those questions,
bro. What are your macros, bro? Is like the new version of how much you bench, bro. But yeah, all right, Madison. Concluding remarks. Finish this up.
Well, I just want to have one more quick point too about if you're going into training and you're of the mindset to train. What you're doing in the gym and how you approach every rep and every set that you're doing is also a little bit different than the person who's just exercising. The person who's exercising is just happy that they're moving. They're like, this is fine, right? But you're in there and you want that fucking horseshoe tricep. So when you're doing those push downs, you're fucking thinking about the muscle. You're working on squeezing it and contracting it, getting a good stretch, and just focus on every little detail, right? Because your intent is, I want this tricep to grow. I want to get stronger in this bench. So when you're benching, you're fucking shoving hard versus just going through the motions, right? It changes your intent when you're training. And because you're also training, you usually have a deadline too. So you're like, well, I only have three months. Every fucking rep, every second, every day counts. So I got to make it count and put in the work and do everything and do the best of my ability for every damn rep. And that attention to detail and quality of movement and that just extra little bit of giving a shit makes such a difference in the gym.
Bro, when you start talking about that stuff, you turn into a Tom Platz. Like, it's like that Tom Platz of you. But yeah, dude, this was a great podcast. We touched on a lot of things, and I think every single topic was on point. Like, we started off with talking about traveling life. We started talking about why a weighing scale is not fucking enemy. It's a tool we use. We went into intensity. We talked about exercising versus training. We convinced you to fucking train because who wants to be
Because you're better than that.
You guys are better than that. You guys are an engineered muscle podcast listeners. You guys are badasses. You're meant to conquer the world. So let's go. All right, guys. So yeah, leave us feedback. We love hearing from you guys. My Instagram is Daddy of Fat Loss. Madison's is Mastodon _
strong.
Mastodon _ strong. engineeredmuscle1@gmail.com is our email, but I'll be honest, we rarely ever check it. So it'll be a lot better.
Send it, I will answer it.
No, it's a lot better if you guys
give us your feedback.
It'll be a lot better if you guys leave an iTunes review, take a screenshot, an Instagram story, and tag us on it.
If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to make sure you don't miss a single episode. We have a new episode every Wednesday. If you listen, one of our audio listeners on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, make sure you guys leave us a review. We love hearing your feedback. It means so much to us. We do this podcast for you guys So it means everything in the world to us. If you have topics and things you want to know, make sure you do that. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you like the audio. Leave a review. Check out our old episodes over here and over here, last week's and some other ones that you may take interest. And we'll see you in the next one.
Exactly. And last thing I'll say is, I would rather be sleeping right now, and Madison would rather be at the gym right now. But we love doing this, and we'll do this for you guys. So please do us a small favor. We don't run any ads. We don't run any of that fucking shit. So do us a small favor and just leave the reviews.
No money off this.
Yeah, like leave us small reviews, and yeah, like leave us 5-star ratings. And your feedback means the world to us. And with that, take care, you guys. Love you all.
Peace.